So we're just going to go into the Paw Patrol bubble through the side door into the EYFS building. And you can see that it's set up. We've got some activities that we'll be able to do in here. I'll explain a little bit more about them. We still have our computers that we'll use, and our cleaning staff are going to be cleaning the keyboards each day, and we'll make sure that you're washing your hands before you use them and after you use them. If we come down this way, you can see on the floor we've got some spots to help us remember the distances that we're going to keep between us. And really, adults, these are here to help children visualise the sort of distances that we've been asking them to stick to outside generally during the lockdown period. I'll explain a little bit more about distancing in school. And as we come down, probably the biggest change in the reception area is that you can see there's a divider between the toilets, so that we have one set of toilets over here that are just our normal toilets, and these are for the Paw Patrol group. And we're going to say that one child to use the toilet at a time. The lights are going to come on. Maybe not. And there are cubicles in here anyway, so that's actually no different. And we'll be using this, both groups will have a toilet each. So now we're going to go into the Paw Patrol bubble classroom. And as you can see, I've tried to keep the classroom as similar as possible to how it had been before. I was always a bit of a minimalist, so it was quite clear and clean. You can see there are a few changes in here though. We have tried as much as possible to keep all of the sides clear for easy cleaning. And as you can see, I still have the book corner set up, so it's a very similar position and similar contents as to before lockdown, but the main difference is we've taken out the rugs and the soft furnishings. We are still going to be using books. You know, I really love stories, and it's a big part of our school day in EYFS, and we really want children to have access to them. And the only difference is, there used to be, and the children will be able to tell you this, some big boxes of books here and more bookshelves, and I've moved them out so that each day we're going to circulate the books. So here we have a selection, and then after school each day I'll put these in a box, put them away, and get another box out. And we are so fortunate, thanks to existing books in school, books donated by the friends, books bought from money donated by the friends, that we have a lot that we can keep circulating. Our mass area and our displays, very similar to how they've been before. My desk, nice and tidy as always. You can see around here, the carpet is still here, but around the edge it's slightly different. You can see I've marked on the floor with some physical distancing spaces between them, places for the children to sit when they come into school. And so we will do lots of circle time, lots of talking, lots of socialising, and so very much a case of ensuring physical distance if possible, but not really about the social distance. You know, what we are trying to do is socialise the children again, but retaining that physical distance for safety, as I say, whenever possible. Our role play area is similar to how it had been before, but we've taken some things out, and as I was saying with the book corner, what we'll do is every day circulate the activities that are in there. So I'll take these boxes out, put them in hot water, wash the contents, and then let them dry off before storing them for a week before we put them back in circulation. Other things that are the same, our rainbow is still there. I've got the photos for our bubble to go up. Our school rules, always the same, and that's something we'll be thinking about as we come back to school. Our visual timetable in the same position, and you can see I'm set up ready for Monday. Lots of activities that are familiar to us, and even those washing the hands symbols, which there are a lot of on here at the moment, is what we were doing before lockdown began anyway. And as you can see, we'll still be having our snack, just making sure we're washing our hands. We'll still be doing our phonics and our maths, trying to keep up with the same things that have been set for home learning. As you will know from the letters and information that's already been sent out, we're encouraging children not to bring anything into school with them other than their food and their water bottle. And so what we've done is prepare little spaces for you to put your water bottle, kids, when you come in, and for us to keep these little pots, which will have your photographs on them. I'll be doing that this afternoon, and this is to ensure that we are still able to do all of those activities we love to do in reception. So we can still draw, we can still cut, we can still design and make things, but when we do it, we'll just go, select your pot, you'll have your photo on, take it to the table, choose your activity, do what you need to do with the things that you have, pop them back in your pot, and then return them to your space. And so as much as possible, we're going to try to reduce the way that we're sharing resources, but there will be times in the day that we will need to share resources, and that's part of those reasonable adjustments that we're making. and that acceptable risk that we've talked about before. So you can see we do have a small world activity set up. I've got the ocean ready with lots of stuff in the box to add, and we will be continuing to do activities like this. The only difference is that we will be changing them regularly, so every day we'll put them back in the box and the next day we'll have a new one, and then after school the staff will be cleaning it, and we might get the children to help us at the end of the day, and then we'll put that in one of the spare classrooms and we'll leave that for a week before we then use it again. And then in a similar way, you can see that we do have art activity set up because we love to paint and make things in EYFS, but instead of having chairs all the way around the table, we spread them out and the adults will be putting out the resources in the morning. If you then do some painting when you're finished, you'll put your apron into one of the boxes in the classroom, and then after school, we'll wash those aprons. We've got so many aprons, we then can put clean ones out, and we've got lots more in the cupboard ready. Similarly, we've got an activity set up here, but what we'll do at the end of the day is pack the doll's house away and then leave it for a week before we use it again. We will still continue to do fun, messy things, but what we'll do is, similarly to the artwork, once you've used the apron, we'll pop it in the box and then a new one can be got out for the next child. And then any activity that we do in there, so I've got some really fun soap flakes and food colouring activity ready. Once they've finished it, the children will help take it to the sink, wash it up, so encouraging them to really think about how they can be part of the cleaning process and get a little bit of extra hand washing at the same time, and then we'll set it up anew for the next child. In each class we also have a hand sanitizing station. There has some hand sanitizer there, some instructions for hand washing and some tissues, and the NHS poster that you'll be familiar with that we've had up at school for a while. As you'll be aware from the ongoing government guidance, one of the main things that we're going to be doing at school is our hand washing regime, and as you saw from our visual timetable earlier, that's going to be happening quite a lot through the day. So we've got our posted reminder, and all the sinks in the classrooms have soap and running hot water. So now I'm coming into the other side of the reception building, the Avengers bubble, and similarly to over on the other side for Paw Patrol, there's your own toilet. So we've got the Avengers sign on there, that dividing wall to keep us separate from Paw Patrol bubble, and then some markings on the floor to help us. Really not so much about always standing on those spots, but getting into the children's minds the concept of that physical distance. And I'm walking into the classroom that will be used for the Avengers, and you can see in here, similarly to next door, we've tried to keep it looking as similar as possible, but there are some changes. So as I was saying, the surfaces are very clear. Miss Scoff's desk is definitely looking a lot clearer today. There's those markings on the floor to encourage the physical distance during circle time. We still have books in the book corner, but they'll be circulated. We've had to take out your lovely bean bags, but we've got some very fetching yellow chairs here instead. In a similar way to the role play area next door, we still do have resources in here, but there are less out each day, and what we'll do every day is clean these ones and circulate them and store these for a week before we put them back out. Oh, and here actually are some of the boxes that I was talking about a moment ago, with lots of different role play, small world activities, that what we'll do is at the end of the day, put what's out into one of these boxes and then put one of these out. So I'm going to move them over to one of the spare classrooms in a moment. We've got some space, those similar pots that we had next door that will have your photos on children so that you'll be able to come and choose your pot ready for an activity. We've got some art set out, we've got the aprons on the back of the chairs, and then a box of aprons to be cleaned. Oh, I better go and wash those ones now actually. And then we've got an area for the malleable activities. And we've at the moment got a lovely castle set up, and then that'll be out tomorrow on Monday, and then we'll change it overnight for the next day. We are so super lucky at St Bart's because we have so much outdoor space that is normally used by reception and year one classes, and so at the moment with just the reception bubbles in, we've been able to divide it up for use by those three bubbles. And so the Avengers bubble that will be in Baker Bolt classroom are going to be able to have access whenever they want to this space outside. And then if we move across, you can see that we've put up some of our temporary fencing, which might not be the most attractive fencing, but is really useful because it means that actually throughout the day we'll be able to see and talk to each other even if we're not in the same bubble. So I know that we haven't all been able to be put together that might want to be, but we'll still be able to see from a safe distance. So it's again thinking about physically being distant but still being able to socialise, and also to divide up these spaces. So our playground's looking very similar, and the only difference is that we'll be regularly cleaning them and the site staff will be coming out to clean the apparatus between uses. But other than that, we'll have a rota and we'll still be able to use things like our bikes and our space hoppers, our trim trail and climbing equipment, And so really being as physical and outside and having as much fun as possible like we normally would, just with a few changes. And as I say, this rather attractive fence is probably the main difference. Because of the number of the bubbles that we have coming in reception, we'll also be using the Year 1 classrooms. As you can see, we've tried to set this up in a similar way to what would have been the EYFS classrooms. And so we've got tabletop activities, we've got the carpet marked out for children to ensure physical distancing, and in the same way we'll rotate the activities like we have been doing in the reception classrooms that we were just looking at. We have dividing doors, so we're very lucky that between the Year 1 classrooms we don't normally have this open when both classes are in, but as there'll be one bubble using both of these rooms, we've been able to open them up so that we've got a messy area for painting and lots of trays that will turn into those messy trays similar to those that we're talking about in the malleable areas in reception classrooms, and just more space to ensure spreading out. So although we've got between 12 and 15 children in all of the bubbles, there is a lot of space, so we can encourage throughout the day those children to be coming together at some points, but predominantly being outside, using all of the spaces available inside, and so socially engaging with each other, but ensuring that there's a physical distance kept. And the Incredibles bubble, you are super lucky because you're going to be using what would normally be the Year 1-2 toilets, or the toilets that reception use at lunchtime. You can see there's your photograph on the door, and you are next to the toilets for one of the key worker groups, but you can see that we've divided it off, and so this access is just for use by the EYFS bubble. You might also notice this lovely painting that's been completed recently, so we've got a big thanks to say to the Friends for funding it, and to Alfie, who is Elsie in Year 3's mum, Charlotte, who is Tamwin in Year 1's mum, and our very own Wendy, who is Alexandra in Uchi Miracox's class's mum. So thank you for that, because it's brightened up the whole area.